Hey everybody, and welcome to another Pinnacle Hobby unboxing video. Today we are fortunate enough to be having a look at the brand new Super Avante from Tamiya. The Super Avante is a brand new four-wheel drive car. It's the latest in their line. It's on a new TD4 chassis, which is a shaft drive chassis. And this is hopefully the beginning of a new series of cars. We've just heard a couple days ago that they are actually going to be bringing out a TD2, which will be a two-wheel drive. And they're going to resurrect the old Astute name. So, let's crack it open and see what's in the box. So, typical Tamiya packaging. We've got our manual. Manuals from Tamiya are fantastic. They show you everything you need to know when you're assembling your car. They give you full-size images of the hardware. The cool thing about these is that they even have them color-coded. If it's a black screw, it'll actually be a darker color in the manual. If it's a silver screw, we'll just go through here, see if we can find a silver screw or something silver-colored. There you go. The steel pins. Steel pins are silverish colored, so they're white in the manual. So it's really easy to figure out exactly what it is you're trying to find when you're looking for your hardware. Now, one thing that we did notice in this car, Tamiya has returned to ball diffs. So they are expecting this car to be a little bit better performer and be capable of maybe handling some faster motors. It gives you a little bit more tuning having that ball diff. See, a lot of guys will say gear diffs are better for the latest high-powered brushless motors. Yes, they do withstand some more abuse. A little bit trickier to tune because you do have to clean them out and then reload them with grease every time you want to tune them. But a well-maintained ball diff is still an excellent choice for a race car. And this will definitely be a great little intermediate race car. The other thing that we noted when we were perusing the manual the first time is that this car is 48 pitch. So again, more like a race car, less like the old-fashioned Tamiya cars that had the much coarser 32 pitch gears. You will notice another unique feature showing on this page here. The front suspension is actually a lay-down suspension, so there is no front shock tower. This will be nice for younger drivers. They tend to wipe out and flip their cars a lot more, so you won't be catching your front shock tower on the ground or in the grass or anything like that, and less likely to do some damage to the front suspension, the shocks, and the tower, since there isn't one, obviously. So let's have a look at some of the other stuff that comes in this box. They do also provide you a setup sheet, so you can keep track of exactly how you built the car, and any changes you make you can update on here, and that way if you need to take your car apart and reload oil or reset suspension or anything like that, you'll be able to go back to your setup sheet and see exactly how you built it the first time. So rims, this car standard 2.2. There is narrower front, wider rear, so a pretty typical setup for a four-wheel drive car. Now the fronts on here are quite a bit wider than we see on some of the four-wheel drive race cars, such as the Kyoshos, the Associateds, Losis, that sort of thing. The rears are about the same width, so a little bit more front tire than some of the race cars that we've seen recently. Body, clear Lexan, obviously. The one thing that's kind of unique about this body, it's hard to see here, but if we have a quick look, there's fenders. One of the things that Tamiya does, they always have something sort of different, sometimes cute, on their cars. Now, fenders on an off-road car, I mean, really, they're not really doing anything. They're just for a specific look. Gives this car a little bit more of an anime look, of course. But I would say if you're going to be racing this car, you might want to take the fenders off. You're just going to end up tearing them and catching them on things anyway. And there's no sense having those on the car. The other thing that we've discovered with this, with the body, we haven't built one of these yet. We'll be building this later today. But you can have a look here and see there is a bit of an air intake back here. And they've actually got an extra plate of Lexan that is screwed to the body. And I'm sure double-sided taped as well. If you're going to add that scoop, I would probably suggest really good double-sided tape, or better yet, maybe even consider using some shoe goo or Zap Goop. So Zap Goop, which is this stuff here, it's kind of like a very heavy-duty silicone adhesive. This stuff works fantastic. We use it all the time for repairing bodies and gluing lots of stuff together in the shop, on our RC planes, whatever. And it'll be great for holding this scoop in place. So let's move along and see what else we have in here. Front suspension, rear suspension arms. They've got webbing inside, so much more rigid than your traditional like TT02 or any of your basic cars. So again, a good indication that they are, expecting people to use this as some sort of a race vehicle. So these arms, they have a flat finish. Looks like they might have a little bit of glass in them. So they're either a glass nylon or a glass ABS. Doesn't say on their indicator here. Usually they tell you what material they've molded an item out of. In here it simply just says GF, indicating it's glass fiber. They do say it's a PA. Does that mean that it's an ABS? Hard to say. Not really sure what Tamiya is using for their coating system on their plastic these days. In the old days it would say ABS if it was ABS plastic, but might be something we can see if we can find out. Maybe talk to someone at Tamiya. They never know. They might tell us. Could be a trade secret. You never know with these companies. So, basic components, front and rear covers for the gearboxes. Chassis. Here we go. So bathtub chassis. So again, great for sort of intermediate driver. You can run this out in the dirt and muck a little bit, and your car's not going to get too disgustingly dirty. Looks like right here you can see there's a bit of a reservoir under where the drive shaft is going to run. This may end up getting some dirt into it. Hard to say. Not really a big fan of having anything rigid and immovable right next to a drive shaft. So the small bits of dirt, grass, rocks, whatever can get jammed in there. So we'll have to see how that goes. But so your basic hardware, body posts, wing mounts. Looks like got a couple of choices: low mount, high mount, which is kind of cool. A couple of the gears. A little disappointed these gears are just standard plastic. They're not something a little bit more rigid, but that's okay. To me, this stuff's still pretty tough. Front and rear bumper looks like. Looks like a roll bar for the body. Steering knuckles and hub carriers. Got a quick look and see what we've got here. So we've got a yes. So steering knuckle. Yep. Not bad. Little light duty, but not too bad at all. This is just the mounts for the fenders, so we're not too concerned about how thin that plastic might be. This guy's fairly tough. It is lightened, so they've removed some material there, but not too bad. Looks like it's using about a 12 mil bearing on the outside. Possibly we're using a smaller bearing on the inside there. assuming this piece here is going to be for the lay down suspension. It's a bell crank for running from the suspension arm up to the shock would be my guess. Let's see what we've got in our hardware package here. So, driver figure, to me that's really great about always including a little guy, so you can dress it up, make it look like it's some sort of real car if you want. Tamiya standard sort of servo saver. These are a little more heavy duty than the traditional ones, the white ones that you may remember from a long time ago, but still using the same plastic horseshoe shaped spring. Oh, my mistake, sorry. This is the metal spring on this one. That one there's it's actually made for the metal horseshoe shaped spring. That's good. So a little bit more rigid, less chance of breakage, which is good. Shock hardware. So let's see, what do they include for shocks? CVAs, yeah. So plastic CVA shocks. There'll probably be an aluminum body like a TRF or similar upgrade in the future. Plastic shocks are great for just hacking around. You know, you don't need a metal shock on there right away. You get a, you know, if you're just playing out on your own and not doing a lot of hardcore racing, you get a few years out of these before the bodies start to wear out a bit. You know, it's not a big deal. We've got Dogbones. I assume you probably have Dogbones for the other end of the car. Let's see. The winner is Dogbones at the other end. So no universal shafts on this. That's okay. Again, not a top of the line race car. And this is a nice little feature. We have moved to a standard. I'll pop this out of the bag. Looks like a standard 48 pitch spur gear. So very similar to a Kimbrough gear. So this is awesome, which means that we will have some more options for gearing. Also means if we decide that we would rather run something either 32 pitch or 64 for whatever reason, we can swap out our spur gear and change the pitch. Propeller shaft, good to see that they went ahead and gave us a lightened aluminum shaft. So that's this blue guy right here. Less vibration when they're a metal shaft on the car. Aluminum's nice because it's lightweight and strong. And I'm sure you've noticed as well as I've been going through, there's bearings throughout. So this vehicle is fully bearinged, which is great. So it saves you a bunch of money. You don't have to invest in ball bearings to make your car last longer and run smoother. Toolkit, Tamiya box wrench and turnbuckle wrench, which is fantastic. So nice to see that they're still providing all the tools. Now, you may have noticed that one thing we did not see in this kit, no speed controller. So they're leaving that up to you. You could always use one of the Tamiya speed controllers. They'll run brushed motors, obviously, the basic Tamiya brushed, or Tamiya brushless motors, or any other mild brushless motor. The other thing that we noticed as we went through, there was no motor. Absolutely no motor in this kit. So, yeah, that is really unusual for a Tamiya car. I don't know that I've ever seen, other than TRFs, I don't think I've ever seen a Tamiya car that did not come with a Tamiya motor. So you will have to buy a motor for this. And I would say if you're thinking of getting, you know, going to get a motor for it anyway, probably suggest you get a brushless system. And you always get something basic, maybe in the 3,500 to 4,000 kV if you're buying a non-censored system, or if you decide to go to a racing system, you could always go ahead and go to a probably about a 10.5 to a 13.5 turn would be the limit that I would want to suggest for this for most people. 17.5 to 21.5 for just general play, and any of those would be a good choice. You don't necessarily have to buy a Tamiya brand one, obviously, but you know, definitely make sure you use a good quality motor and speed controller. So there you go. So that's the new Tamiya Super Avante. We're looking forward to building this. Haven't built a car with lay-down suspension from Tamiya for a very long time. The last one I built was a TA05 with the internal shock system. That was a long time ago. And so yeah, looking forward to doing this again. Stay tuned for our next video, which will be the time-lapsed build video. Hopefully they'll have that set up tonight and get that posted in the next couple of days. Again, the Tamiya Super Avante will be available on the 20th from your local dealer, and hopefully that local dealer is us. Thanks again. This is Ron from Pinnacle Hobby, and keep on hobbying.